1 in 4 people over 60 suffers a silent stroke. No pain, no warning, just damage. My patient forgot her PIN code. 2 weeks later, she couldn't hold a spoon. She thought it was age. It was her brain, breaking quietly. You don't feel a silent stroke. You find out when it's too late. Watch now, before someone you love disappears silently. You've probably noticed it. A loved one walking slower, forgetting small things, or seeming more tired than usual. It feels like normal aging, but sometimes it's not. Studies show that more than 30% of seniors with small changes in balance or memory were already recovering from silent strokes without ever knowing it. These strokes don't cause pain. They don't come with dramatic symptoms. They come quietly and leave quietly, with real, lasting damage. Most people don't act. They wait until speech disappears, until movement fades. That's why this video exists, to help you see what's really happening and act before it's too late. Let's start with the first silent signal. Chapter 1. He just slowed down, then he never walked again. Let me tell you a story I wish more families heard sooner. Dad was just a bit slower last week. Yesterday, he tripped in the hallway. This morning, he couldn't move his leg. The stroke had already happened days ago. That's how silent strokes strike. No chest pain, no slurred speech, just a hesitation, a stumble, a pause that seems harmless. By the time the family took him to the hospital, the MRI showed the damage was already done. The warning signs weren't loud. They were quiet, and that's the danger. You see, most people expect a stroke to be dramatic, face drooping, speech slurring, collapsing to the floor. But in reality, the brain often whispers before it screams. And if we don't know how to listen, we miss our only chance to stop it. So tonight, I want you to do something. Watch your loved one walk across the room. Do they hesitate, grip the wall, shift their weight more than they used to? That's not just old age. That could be your brain's first warning cry. A recent study from Johns Hopkins found that over 30% of older adults had silent strokes, many showing changes in gait weeks before diagnosis. This is your early alarm. This is your second chance. This is the moment you act before the silence takes over everything. If this sounds familiar, don't look away. Because the next sign we're going to talk about, it hides behind emotions, and it's even easier to miss. And remember, the first symptom of a stroke often comes from the legs, not the lips. Not all strokes scream. Some whisper, and they steal you one step at a time.
Chapter 2. She couldn't stand on one leg anymore. You know what most families said when it was too late? She just lost her balance sometimes. We thought it was arthritis or just aging. But here's the truth. Balance isn't just about bones. It's your brain's coordination center calling for help. The cerebellum, deep in the back of your brain, controls movement, posture, and balance. When blood flow is disrupted, even a little, your ability to walk straight, to stay upright begins to fade, slowly, quietly, dangerously. A groundbreaking study in JAMA neurology found that older adults unable to stand on one leg for more than 10 seconds had a significantly higher risk of silent brain damage and future stroke. Let that sink in. 10 seconds could be your red flag. So here's your quick win test. Ask your loved one to lift one leg, eyes open, arms down. Can they hold for at least 10 seconds? If not, this is not something to brush off. Don't say they're just clumsy. Don't assume it's just age, because what you think is a stumble might be your only chance to act before a stroke disables them forever. We thought it was her knees. We didn't know it was her brain. Now you know. And the next clue we'll uncover? It hides not in their steps, but in their moods. The legs show us the warning. The emotions tell us what's next. Chapter 3. She wasn't angry. She was hurting, and we didn't see it. She slammed the door, then cried in the kitchen, then apologized like a child scared of being misunderstood. That's not like Mom. She was always gentle, always calm. We thought she was being dramatic, tired, moody. But no one told us emotional storms could be the first scream from a brain silently breaking down. When the blood flow falters in the limbic system, where emotions are born, anger, sadness, confusion start leaking through, not because they want to, because they can't hold it in anymore. This isn't acting out. This isn't being difficult. This is a quiet brain injury wearing the face of your loved one. We told her to stop overreacting. We didn't know it was her brain begging for help. If someone you love seems like a stranger lately, write it down. Track their moods for 7 days. Don't guess. Bring it to the doctor. Because one study from Brain and Behavior found this: emotional shifts often show up before memory loss. It's the earliest cry for help, and it's the one families miss the most. She didn't lose her temper. She lost control because the stroke had already started. Next, we'll go deeper, into those moments when they forget small things, not because they're careless, but because blood stopped reaching where memories live. If only we had listened to her silence, we might have saved her voice.
Chapter 4. She forgot my name, but not her love. At first, she misplaced her keys. Then she forgot where she parked. One day, she looked at me and paused. You're my good boy, right? I smiled, but inside, I broke. We laughed it off. You're just tired, Mom, we said. But it kept happening. Here's the truth no one told us. Forgetfulness isn't always innocent. Small strokes, those you never feel, can slowly starve the hippocampus, the part of the brain that holds your memories, your days, your people. And each forgotten moment is a piece of them slipping away. She wasn't ignoring us. Her brain was losing its map. These aren't senior moments. They're warning signs. Start a 7-day memory journal. Note things they forget, how often, how it affects them. Bring that to the doctor. It's more valuable than any single test. A study from Neurology Today revealed patients with mild memory loss after silent strokes had an 11% reduction in hippocampal volume, even without classic stroke symptoms. That's not aging, that's damage. What we shrugged off as just a little forgetful was actually the brain waving a red flag. And the next mistake is thinking clean eating alone keeps you safe. Sometimes it's not what we remember, it's what we ignore that hurts the most. Chapter 5. Clean diet, normal cholesterol, still had a stroke. Uncle Joe was the healthiest one in the family. No red meat, no fried food, always walked 3 miles a day. His cholesterol was fine, his weight perfect. But one morning, he collapsed on the kitchen floor. And just like that, everything we believed about being safe fell apart. This is the most dangerous lie we tell ourselves. If I eat clean and my numbers look okay, I'm not at risk. But stroke doesn't care about how many salads you eat. It doesn't ask about your gym routine. It only cares about what's silently happening inside your arteries and your assumptions. What most people don't realize is this: LDL cholesterol isn't the only threat. Plaque buildup, inflammation, tiny clots, they all play a role. And even normal numbers can still be deadly depending on your personal history and genetics. A study in Circulation found that 20% of stroke patients had LDL within the normal range, yet they still experienced ischemic events. So why is this such a painful truth? Because it means effort isn't enough. Because it means you can do everything right and still be at risk. And that scares people. But it should empower you. Because now you know, it's not just about numbers. It's about testing deeper, asking harder questions, staying curious. Start with this. Request a full lipid panel, not just total cholesterol. Check your inflammation markers. Ask about plaque scans or carotid imaging. And if this chapter hit close to home, you're not alone. I thought I was doing everything right. Now I know I was doing everything visible and ignoring the invisible. Next, we'll show you what you can do today to turn this fear into power. The greatest danger is not what you see, but what you assume isn't there.
Chapter 6. Ask these 3 questions every time you see your doctor. The doctor asked if I had any questions. I said no. But the truth is, I didn't know what to ask. That silence, it's dangerous, because not asking the right questions can delay your recovery by months. And it's not your fault. Most people walk into checkups unprepared, especially after a stroke. They assume doctors will say everything that matters. But here's what many doctors won't tell you unless you ask. Question 1. Are there signs of silent strokes in my recent scans? Most silent strokes are missed because they're small and symptomless, but early imaging can reveal early damage if your doctor looks for it. Question 2. What is my inflammation risk level? Even with good cholesterol, inflammation can cause clots. Ask for CRP or homocysteine markers. These hidden risks matter. Question 3. Should I see a neurologist or stroke specialist? If your doctor hesitates, push. Specialists can run advanced tests and prevent repeat strokes. A Harvard study found that patients who asked at least 3 targeted health questions recovered 15% faster after vascular events. Why? Because they became part of their care, not just recipients of it. Write these questions down. Keep them in your wallet or phone. Take control. You don't need to know all the answers. You just need the courage to ask the right things. Healing doesn't begin in the hospital. It begins the moment you say, I want to understand what's happening to me. And when you ask, you're not just helping yourself, you're teaching your family how to fight smarter. Next, one final thing that could save someone else's life tomorrow. A question asked at the right time is worth more than a year of silent hope. We all know someone who walks a little slower, forgets a little more, and we tell ourselves, it's just age. But what if it's not? What if this video was the moment that changes everything? You can't go back in time, but you can still protect the future. So if this opened your eyes, don't close them again. Tap subscribe, not for me, but for the day when this knowledge could save someone you love. And don't stop here. Watch next, the 3 early stroke signs most people miss in women. Because the signs aren't always loud, but they are always urgent. One video, one life, one decision you'll never regret.